Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of StarCraft Inc. This is going to be a pretty freaking awesome match, guys. I found a whole bunch of just wicked games on GoSuGamers.com. They are the MLG Orlando games. I'm going to start with this one. Bomber versus Idra. Bomber being one of the most popular Terran floating around right now. He's doing very well. He's made it really far into... I don't know if MLG is over. I don't really follow the tournaments because I don't have time. When I'm home, when I have spare time, I cast, man. I just freaking cast. I don't have time to watch games for leisure. So the games I watch are the ones I cast. Down in the bottom right is Idra, spawning as one of the most famous Zerg of all time, for God knows why. I mean, he's got a wicked win ratio in the early days of StarCraft. Not really pulling in too much lately. Kind of his playstyle fell out of date a little bit a while ago when July Zerg and who else? Fruit Dealer started winning with their very early rush strategies. A lot of early pressure, whereas Idra is more of a very firm macro player. He went on a huge long losing streak and then actually all of a sudden started to win again once he started to learn those two-base early pressure strategies. I've seen him just dominate Protoss players with a nice two-base early Hydra push. Fucking beautiful. I can't even describe to you how amazing those builds are against a Protoss who Forge Vast Expanse, for example, and tries to go Phoenix. Oh my god, it's just a murder. Anyway, so I'm gonna cast pretty much all the MLG matches from this point on. So depending on whether Idra or Bomber wins, I'm just gonna follow the winner. Okay, get it? Get it? So this is a best of 3. And these players are not going to give each other any room. This match in particular, game 1, was rated 10 out of 10 on GoSuGamers, and look at this, ST Bomber is dropping a bunker, and Idra's like, holy fuck, damn shit, Jesus Christ, and he's going to try to deny this, and here comes the STV to try to finish it up. The drones are like, what's going on? And Idra, I thought he microed that, but he actually just kind of didn't micro that. And anyway, so that's kind of a failed bunker, gonna get salvaged, although it can't get salvaged because it's not finished. So that's that. Lings are out. The bunker's gonna at least see that 4 Lings are crossing the map, and there's no wall here for the Terran player, so it's gonna be up to just a handful of Marines to stop any Lings from getting in and doing damage. But 4 Marines against 4 Zerglings, that match is going into the Marines' hands. That's all there is to that. We are seeing an early expansion, which is what you need to do against Zerg, especially if they take their own, especially if it's Idra and he's taking his own. You have to keep up with this guy's macro or you will die. And, you know, Marines are doing fine and dandy keeping those Lings out of their base. Woo! Guys, there's going to be a lot of cool stuff going on this channel in the next few days. First of all, the biggest thing, a schedule. Holy snap. I want to put up 3 videos during the week, so on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I want to do that. Tuesdays and Thursdays, just because they're not part of the schedule doesn't mean I won't post a video. I might post videos on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but it's only if a miracle happens, okay? So I don't always have time to do it, but Monday, Wednesday, Friday are the days that definitely I always have time. I'll try my best. By the way, Infernal Pre-Igniter's coming out for the Hellions. The Hellions that aren't on the map yet, of course, but they're on their way. Woot! And we're going to see some early harass against Idra. Oh, there is 1 Hellion on the field. Anyway, Idra's got a Spine Crawler, though. It's in pretty good placement. He's got 2 Queens, so they won't be able to get up into the main if he blocks the ramp. He's got plenty of Lings, so Idra's in good shape against Hellions, even if they're Blue Flame, I'd say. And his micro is really good, although you don't get to see it very often. He does have very strong control. Anyway, so Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you're going to see videos on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays for sure. Saturday and Sunday, hopefully. At least one of the Saturday and Sundays, but probably both. Okay. But I want to crank out at least 5 videos a week, which is going to be nice for you guys. Yeah, you like that? I thought you would like that. Yeah. Okay, so. And the other thing is, actually, we'll keep that a secret because I'm going to post a video for the other thing probably after I cast this, and then I'll cast the rest of the series. But it's going to be awesome, guys. It's going to be great to be part of this channel. if it's not already. Anyway, we got 5 Marines crossing the map. We've got 2 Hellions with blue flame over here. 2 more down here. It's kind of cool the way they're spread out. Reminds me of a beautiful little movie. A little badass moment here. Anyway, this is going to be scary. Hellions by themselves, you know, it's gimmicky and sometimes tricky to deal with, but you can do it, right? Hellions with Marines, that's a different story. We've got an Overlord here just kind of scouting about, but Idra's going to lose it to the Marines that are still left in Bomber's base. And this is going to be interesting. I'm not sure how this is going to go down. By the way, a Spire out for Idra already. I really like that. That's a very solid 2-base Muta timing. You know, without rushing it, without tech rushing. You can get kind of tech rush Muta out by 8 minutes, 9 minutes, but you're spittling out piddly amounts of them. But to get this many Lings out, Spine Crawlers, you know, Evolution Chambers with upgrades, Baneling Nest, and then get Muta by, you know, have your nest halfway done in 9 minutes, it's pretty solid. And I imagine Idra's macro is strong enough to really pump the hell out of those, get them out in big numbers. And once massive numbers of Muta come out, it's a scary thing for Terran. I'm going to be interested to see how Terran deals with mass Muta in Heart of the Swarm if they are losing the Thor. And that is rumor that the Thor is being replaced by that new walking mech thing. I'm not sure if that's true. Maybe Terran will have both. I'd like to see them have both. Terran having the Thor for you know, anti-air reasons, and having the other thing for you know, ground-to-ground reasons. So if they I would like to see them keep the Thor and maybe nerf its ground attack, so that you'd have to choose it for that reason. You'd have to choose it for the anti-air rather than the multi-purpose. So that'd be interesting. That'd be an interesting way to keep the Thor in the game, give you that anti-air option, that splash damage that you're going to need against mass Muta, and just, you know, keep the game reasonably similar to the way it is, because we all like this game, don't we, guys? Now there's a lot of things on the production tab for both players right now. We're seeing siege tanks for Bomber, and we're seeing tons of fucking upgrades for the Zerg, which is very typical when they start taking their third. That seems to be when they're cranking out all the grades, getting ready to mass up the units. But once the grades are done is when they start building shit out of their ass, and we are going to see 2 Hellions kind of go down for free, although 1 got away, so my mistake. And this, ooh, the Muta are going to go down here and check the other tower before finding this. So, is he going to drop any mules here? If he does, he's going to lose them. But no, Muta find this, and they're going to sit here and pick at it for a while. This is a nice free expansion. It's really going to be hard for Bomber to come down and defend it. And I'm surprised that E.G. Idra didn't bring any other forces with these Muta, because he's got enough to kind of crush this piddly little weak-ass attempt at defending against these Muta. But we do have upgrades on the way for these. We've got weapons 1 for the flyers. And we're seeing those melee weapons. He's really cranking out the melee weapons, which to me says that Broodlords are a plan for the near future. And we'll see what comes of that. So a bunch of Muta are just gonna rip the fuck out of these Marines, and that's before Weapons 1's done. Weapons 1 is almost done. He's just cleaning up pockets of Marines for free. The siege tanks here are free now. Tons of Marines come down here. They will have to stim. And no, finally the Muta do have to retreat. A little piece of 1 bleeding to death right there. And this expansion goes unscathed. Now I want to take a look at the units lost. I'd be curious as to where they're standing here. Pretty even in the number of units lost. Not so even in the resources it costs. So Bomber is a little bit ahead. And going back to that production tab, we got Ling, Muta, Banelings. What's going on? It's a pretty freaking common build against Terran. We've got Idra taking his 4th. Yep, 4th. And once that 4th's down, you can expect to see the 5th and 6th pretty damn quick. So we've got good creeps. Holy shit. It's 13 minutes in the game, and creeps about halfway across the map. I don't know if I mentioned that this is Shakur's Plateau, just in case you guys are wondering. I don't remember if I said it was or not, but it is. If you guys don't know your map names, you should learn them. It's useful when people are talking about the game. Took me a while. God, fuck. I was a commentator, and I didn't know the map names for the longest time. I still have to check sometimes on some of the newer ones. Anyway, we do have a sensor tower down, which is extremely... Guys, you don't even know. Sensor towers are so good, okay? Just 1. You just need 1 in a very strategic location, and it'll help you out so much. If you're being harassed, if you're being dropped, if you're being, you know, cock blocked. I don't care. Sensor tower. Sensor tower. You know? Okay? Good. Alright. You learned your lesson. Anyway, excellent for dealing with Muta. However, the Muta are going to go around the long way. This weak spot in the sensor tower grid is protected by missile turrets galore. However, there are a lot of Muta. SCVs are not in time to repair them. But it's not even worth it because all the splash damage from those Muta would start killing the SCVs. He needs to get his Marines up in here. There's a couple of Marines, but they're going to go in alone. I don't understand that thinking. Does focus fire down one Muta, but oh, two Muta. Oh, not quite three Muta. So a bunch of the Marines are going in pockets. That's not good because they're just being picked off. Oh, Thor comes out of the factory just in time when things were looking bad for Bomber. That Thor comes out right in the nick of time as Bomber pushes across the map. E.G. Idra, I don't think paying attention right away. Bomber destroys some creep, but stepping onto the creep, E.G. Idra just has so much stuff, splitting his Marines trying to survive this push, and oh my god, Idra just engulfs the Terran ball on his creep. He says, bitch, this is my place, this is my space, don't come back. And so Bomber has this next command center that was on its way over here, Overlord spreading creep to deny it from landing there for free. Bomber will need units to take that expansion, and here's the Thor to deal with the Muta and a couple siege tanks, but siege tanks are not what he needs right now. It looks like just a Marine Thor would be a better combination than the siege tanks, as the Lings are just so upgraded. Once they get in the tank's face, the tanks are useless. A little bit of a pickup there. Hopefully this turns into a beneficial drop. If the Muta or anything else finds that medevac in the air with the Marines inside it, the Muta will pick it off for free. And yeah, it looks like it's going to be dropped right here. This is the location for that medevac. It did just pass by this Overlord, which is not good news. So look at this. Here come the Muta. Like I said, as soon as anything sees that medevac, Idra's not going to miss it. He knows what's up, and there goes a free medevac. Oh, that is painful to see. And so these Lings are going to cross the map over here to the watchtower, get a good view of what's going on. If anything comes into that space, they will know. And these Marines came in here to deny, sorry, not to deny, to free up the creep here for his expansion. And those Lings are just so upgraded. They've got 2-2. Okay, so it takes a lot to take them down. They're going to get a few SCV kills, and Bomber pulls in to try and get rid of those Lings, trying to deny that expansion further as Muta tear apart Bomber's base. This is an uphill battle for Bomber at this point. He's just spread so thin. A couple Marines in his base trying to defend. The one good thing about Muta for Terran is that they don't do much damage to buildings, even in high numbers. It takes a lot of Muta to focus down a building quickly, so it does give him tons of time to come and defend. And I'm not really sure what that cancel was. I didn't have time to check what it was. Lots of Lings and Banelings. Fuck, man. Idra's macro is so good. It is just so good. And here comes a small squadron of Marines. The Bomber had no idea that there would be this many units back out of Idra's base already. But good Marine spread. And the siege tanks do their job. Bomber played that well. Not many Terran players are ready to deal with something like that unexpectedly, and these Muta are just being used for two-prongs so well, taking out this expansion here for Bomber. Bomber is falling behind very quickly. 156 supply. Idra is way ahead, and he's ahead in a unit that Bomber really has no hope in dealing with, as if he's to deal with the ground units as well. Idra is making sure that Bomber's his what's the word? Upgrades, that's the word. He's making sure that he is short on upgrades. Bomber right away knows he needs those upgrades if he wants to stay in the game, and he's going to drop those engineering bays right away. A huge push down the map. Bunch of Marines, SCVs, siege tanks, Thor, Marine. No Thor in the mix. But the Marines and the siege tanks, it's going to be quite the beefy army. A lot of Banelings coming out here. The siege tanks are caught up in front, but they're not taking damage from the Banelings. The Banelings choosing not to shoot at them. And there's a lot of Marines here for the Muta. A lot of Marines. That looks like it went okay for Bomber. He's got a lot of Marines still. And two more siege tanks in the reinforcement line. 1-2 Banelings sneak through with a bunch of Lings. and this is going to be a matter of, can the Muta DPS down the Marines with the medevacs there? And it looks like yes, it's not going to be a problem. I want to take a look at the unit loss tab once again. E.g. Idra still behind in economy-wise, but if you've actually watched the game, you can see that what Idra has killed is really in favor of Idra. I mean, Bomber has not done any economic damage. He's not done anything to slow E.g. Idra down. He's only killed units. And it looks like we've got a bit of a misrally here. Bomber's units are wandering straight into the middle of the map, and Idra is just taking full advantage of this game with his mobility. And I don't... I'm really having trouble seeing where Bomber can take this. He's got to maintain his expansions, and he's got to strike back. He's got to find a way to hit Idra hard, get a good drop-off. We're going to see... This is a bad situation. Quite a few Muta flying over here to this expansion. I mean, this PF's great for defending against ground units, but it's got nothing on Muta. However, these missile turrets are going to do a bit of damage and buy a bit of time so that Marines can get up in here. But look at those SCVs. They're all clumped up. He's lucky that the Muta didn't get a shot off on them. Here come the Marines to defend. So those missile turrets bought just enough time to get in there, rebuilding those right away. Good response time from Bomber, good placement of his missile turrets. I think Idra could have committed to that. He would have lost a bunch of Muta, but he could have focused down that expansion, and that would have been a good pull ahead. But it's his critical mass of Muta that is really winning this game for him, as his ground units, you know, they're there to tank for the Muta, really. They're just fodder so that the Marines are shooting at something other than the Muta, and, you know, kind of help eat up the Marines on the ground. The Marines are the scary thing in this army for Idra. Idra does not like those Marines, and every time they show up, he's got to back out. The problem is they're not very mobile, so Bomber is having trouble defending his base. As you can see, you know, Idra is just kind of everywhere at once. Bomber once again splitting off a small squadron of Marines to come in here and try to do some damage. Idra keeps shooting down these engineering bays, which, you know, originally I was thinking, you know, those are for upgrades, but no, those are for missile turrets. It just kind of clicked with me. If he can get all the engineering bays, Bomber can't rebuild his missile turrets, which is why Bomber is so desperately rebuilding those, but never actually upgrading anything in them. So we are seeing melee weapons 3, and here come the corruptors, and, you know, we kind of suspected that from the start with all those melee weapon upgrades. Yeah, we're going to see Broodlords out of those corruptors, and there we go. 3 Broodlords on the way, and that's going to be a scary thing. You know, Terran doesn't have Blink. They don't really have much of an option for getting under those Broodlords, and we've already got Infestors out too, which I missed in the production tab as I was watching the game. But, Jesus Christ. So, a nice split of those Muta by Idra, but they did clump up a little bit again. We've got those Broodlords there and a huge ground army to stop the Marines from stim running under those. If the Marines try anything like that, he will lose them all. And here come a bunch of Broodlords. Idra wisely not morphing all of his units, although I don't even think he could afford it if he wanted to. This has come down to a very expensive game, and he's got to pull back his Marines there. The bait and switch, taking out a huge chunk of Idra's ground army. However, those siege tanks have to get out of there. The Broodlords are becoming a huge problem for the Terran player Bomber. And here comes a big swing of Muta coming down to try and take out this expansion. They will suicide into it, but no, the SCVs get there in time and keep that expansion standing. Good decision making by Bomber to repair that. If he lost that expansion, he is out of this game. He's already in bad. Oh, we've got Vikings! Vikings gonna get some free Broodlords here. Focus firing down the ones with low health. A fungal growth goes down on those Vikings, but it won't be enough. And siege tanks going up ahead to try and take out those Infestors. Here come the Muta and the Lings and the Blings. They take out a Thor. There's one more Thor left, and he will get taken down by some Ling Bling, but no, it doesn't go down. There's still a Thor to help deal with the Muta. Bomber is taking out all of Idra's Mutas. Is Idra gonna lose this game right here? Oh my god. Bomber pulling back, killing all the Broodlords except for two. There are 2 Broodlords here. My mistake. A couple SCVs here gonna repair, but no, they're just gonna stand and watch. Those SCVs are around the command center, but they are not repairing as Bomber pushes down into Idra's base. This is exactly what Bomber needed. He's pulling back now to get into good position. Idra swings around with a huge ball of Lings. The drones try to escape through a grid of spine crawlers and banelings, not where the Marines want to follow. And there's a siege tank that's unsieged. I think Idra could have taken this little cluster of units, but maybe not. Those lings do have scary upgrades on them though. And from Idra we are seeing 10 infestors kind of wandering away from broodlords right now, as they're not the unit he needs, because he needs ground support with them. He can't just build naked broodlords. And we've got a lot of Marines just streaming in to deal with these lings. And there are enough Marines on the ground still, along with Vikings. Oh, good fungal growth on the Vikings, the Marines, and the medevacs. One more fungal growth will finish them all off, and he does have it on that infestor. He's got lots of infestors here. These Vikings are going up ahead to snipe overlords, which, you know, I don't think Idra's going to get supply block, but we do have a huge engagement here. This is just a non-stop fight right on the precipice of Idra's base, just right on the creep. All the medevacs go down for Bomber. He's got one left at his 2 health. Oh, he's got one more, but he doesn't know. He doesn't know. Oh my goodness. So we do have this big Ling infestor ball still, and a lonely Bomber medevac. And Bomber's gonna try to take this expansion here. He needs to defend that. He's got this base and this. And oh, this is mined out. Wow. So Idra's got that base still. He's got this option, and here he goes, trying to deny this. I don't know if Bomber has enough to defend it. We've got a fungal growth intercepting all the Marines as another pack of Lings destroys all the SCVs at the expansion. So Bomber losing a large chunk, might lose all his infestors too, but no, a couple Lings come back up to try and defend. Fungal growth goes down on the remaining Lings. There are some more Marines coming down with siege tank support, and they do defend this expansion. Oh my god, what a game. And these infestors, these banelings now, I thought they were going to be Lings, but no banelings, as E.G. Idra realizes that Bomber's sole defense is these Marines, and, you know, tanks, they're good, but they don't one-shot banelings when they've got the ground upgrades that these banelings have. So once they get up and close, it's, you know, get away from the tanks, Marines, because those banelings are splashing every the fuck where. So a scan goes down, sees them in transition, siege tanks splashing damage all over the place. A couple of infested Terran go down to distract and act as fodder. Fungal growth going down. E.G. Idra leaves this. What is going on? He leaves his infestors sitting still right in front, and they take siege tank damage and die. You can't lose your infestors like that. That is not, especially this late in the game when money is short. E.G. Idra is pretty much sitting on no bank, and a bunch of Lings coming up to finish off what was here. There are still 4 infestors, 5 infestors in the mix, and this orbital command is forced to lift off. Oh my god. A bunch of Vikings still floating around, dealing some damage. I imagine they were killing overlords. We've got 0 kills, 2 kills, 3 kills, so 5 kills between those Vikings. I don't know what they killed, probably overlords. And here comes some Marines, but there are too many Zerg units on the floor here to even think about trying to take that expansion again. But E.G. Bomber is ballsy as hell, landing that right away. However, the Lings are going for this expansion. Not really important, seeing as how, you know, all it is a mule dispenser. It's not mining anything. Lings getting up into Bomber's base up here, cutting off not only reinforcements, but splitting Bomber's attention as a mass of Lings comes over here. Bomber knows that that's all this is, just a mule dispenser, and he's going to land it right in his main, so he doesn't have to worry about defending it. And the Lings go back home. And here E.G. Idra is trying to take this base back, and I think he will be successful. E.G. Idra is in good shape now. He's gotten back on his feet, and he's at 156 supply to ST Bomber's 79. So not a good situation for Bomber. He's been losing infrastructure all game to those Muta. Really kind of playing on the back foot, fighting uphill. A couple Lings go up here to cause some shit again and really split Bomber's attention. They're going to get some free kills here as they're finding the units the second they come out of the production facilities. Bomber notices now, and the units try to turn around, but those Lings are getting some free kills. They might get a siege tank. No, the siege tank does live. Another small squadron of Lings goes up the ramp to try and cause some trouble. And once again, just going to get some... oh, I like that. Siege tank on the high ground. Very nice. So these units do clean up the Lings, and here comes the full Ling squadron. That siege tank on the high ground is not going to pay off as there are Muta in the mix once again. However, it does survive. These Lings are going up the ramp to cut off reinforcements. This is what you need to be doing as Zerg, because, you know, once the Tyrant hits that death ball, his death ball is a little bit stronger than yours, and it's just a matter of replacing your units. But if you can cut that death ball off, you can split it in half, you can surround their two, you know, sections of units, and you are golden, as you will be much more cost effective. And, you know, it's strength in numbers for every race, but, you know, Zerg gets those numbers faster and cheaper. So, you know, make use of it. Thor is here, coming out to really support this squadron of units. As the Muta take it at this expansion, Bomber cannot afford to lose that. I think Bomber is really starting to realize the trouble he's in. It's 81 supply to a maxed Idra, almost 194 out of 200, and Idra slowly picking off targets, and Bomber is just spread so thin. Here comes the, oh my god, don't wander in there, Bomber, oh my god, and Bomber sees it, he GG's, and he leaves the game. This game going to Idra, best of 3 between Idra and Bomber. You'll see game 2 in a second. I'm SSN Incarnum. I hope you enjoyed this cast. I hope you like my new intro, by the way. Woohoo! Not really my new intro, but my new opening screen, sort of dealy. Anyway, guys, cheers.